Good morning, friend. As we all know, uh, we are going through the hydraulics for the ATPL DGCA exam. So, our question would come as the primary purpose of hydraulic reservoir is why we need hydraulic reservoir. Out of these four options, the primary purpose of hydraulic reservoir is to compensate for leaks if there is small leakage in the hydraulic lines, displacement, because once it is displaced, there should be a space. Otherwise, as we all know, that in a hydraulic lock where there is no separate space for displacement and expansion, there is jamming. So our answer for 11th question is A. A reservoir provides storage space for the system fluid, supplying a head of fluid for the pump and compensating for small leaks. It also provides sufficient air space to allow for any variations of fluid in the system which may be caused by jack actuator and displacement. Since the capacity of the jack is less when contracted than extended, thermal expansion, and all this. Most reservoirs are pressurized. This is an important point. To provide a positive fluid pressure at the pump inlet and to prevent air bubbles from forming in the fluid at high altitude. The fluid level will vary according to the position of jets, whether the accumulators are changed, and temperature. Now, question 12. With air in the hydraulic system, you would see we always don't want air in the hydraulic system. Why? Air in the hydraulic system causes loud bangs and erratic operation. Bleed points are provided throughout the system to allow air to be removed. So B is the correct answer. Bleed the air out of the system. The pressure filter in a hydraulic system. See, filters are fitted in both suction and pressure lines. That is, both sides of the pumps and sometimes in the return line to the reservoir. A suction filter to protect the pump and a pressure filter to ensure the cleanliness of fluid during use. They remove foreign particles from the fluid and protect the seals and working surfaces in the components. So, the pressure filter in a hydraulic system is fitted downstream of the pump. We have to remember it as it is. Pascal's law. What does the Pascal's law say? See, the Pascal was a 17th century mathematician who stated if a force is applied to a liquid in a confined state, see, this is a closed system and force is being applied from this direction. So, force is applied in a closed system. If a force is applied to a liquid in a confined space or closed system, then this force will be felt equally on in all directions. It means pressure of same suppose X bar is being felt here also, X bar is being felt here also, X bar is being felt here also, X bar is being felt. Now we go back to the question. Pascal law states that D. Applied force acts equally in all directions. D. D for Delhi is the right answer. C. A constant pressure hydraulic pump is governed by. See, this is the most common pump that we use on the aircraft is constant pressure hydraulic pump. Constant pressure variable volume pump. This pump supplies fluid at a variable volume and controls its own pressure. This type of pump is typically fitted in normal aircraft whose systems operate at 3000 to 4000 psi. The cylinder block and drive shaft are coaxial and rotate, carrying the pistons with them, which slide up and down the cylinder block. The pistons are attached to shoes which rotate against a stationary yoke, and the angle between the yoke and cylinder block is varied to increase or decrease piston stroke, thus increasing or decreasing pump output. So, as from the previous slide, we know that a constant pressure hydraulic pump is governed by a control piston. A high pressure hydraulic pump needs a positive fluid supply. Why? We don't have to go into the why at this level, but as we all know that a high for the hydraulic pump, the liquid at that level is pressurized in the reservoir and it is fed into the pump through a positive fluid supply. So 16A is the correct answer. Question 17. Case drain filters are case drain filters are used to enable pump lubricating fluid to be used to monitor pump condition. Always case drain filters when it is fitted in a hydraulic pump, we have to know that it is being used to monitor the pump condition. So 17C is the correct answer. The purpose of an accumulator is to see, we can see the hydraulic accumulator. An accumulator is fitted to store hydraulic fluid under pressure, to dampen pressure fluctuations, to allow for thermal expansion, to provide an emergency supply of fluid to the system in the event of pump failure, to prolong the period cutout and cutting time of ACOB and so reduce the wear on the pump, to provide the initial fluid when a selection is made and pump is cut out. See, these are the charging points as we have read earlier also. Gas are charged. This is the pressure gauge. This is gas. This is liquid. This is the separator of floating piston. So the purpose of an accumulator is to store fluid under pressure. And pressure, this fluid is pressurized using gas. That is the thing. With a one-way check valve, NRV, what does we do? Non-return valve. See, There are two types of flow control that we have always read. One is restrictor valve. What does the restrictor valve gives? It gives full flow in one direction of the fluid and restricted flow when the in the opposite direction of the hydraulic fluid. But how come different? The non-return valve is you can see in the one direction there is a full fluid flow in this direction. Sorry, my mistake. The full flow direction is this direction. Once hydraulic fluid is pressurized and when it comes from point B to point A, this spring is pressurized and the fluid flows freely in this direction. But when the pressure at the B end decreases and A end increases, this causes this valve to get closed because of this mechanism. So it is called non-return valve. And this valve is also known as one-way check valve or non-reversible valve. Going to the question, with a one-way valve, check valve, NRV valve, D, flow stops when input pressure is less than the output pressure. What is the input pressure? This input. This is input. What is the output pressure? This is the output pressure. A restrictor valve is physically fitted in the answer is A, UC upline and flap upline. This we have to remember as it is.